Decentraland is a virtual world built into the Ethereum blockchain. It's intended to be a second life of sorts, where you can buy plots of land and put whatever you want there. A clothes shop, a university, or even a record label, where you can sell goods and services that will be digitally and physically delivered to people. Decentraland is communally governed by its stakeholders. After raising $25 million in their ICO, the market cap reached as high as $250 million in 2017. And in 2018, a single plot of land sold for $170,000. Crypto crusades travel the world and interview the people behind the most interesting blockchain projects. They were the first to interview Ari and Esteban, the founders of Decentraland, in their headquarters in Buenos Aires.
Okay, so firstly, I would like to know, apart from being co-founders, what are your roles in the project?
We started the project about 2 or 3 years ago with a group of friends. The idea was basically whether we could do a virtual world that was based on open standards and the blockchain, and whether we could encode the physics into a blockchain. Of course, influenced by videos and movies like Matrix, Ready Player One, and Snow Crash.
When I first met them and I saw them working on this, I thought they were totally insane. And I think I gained the confidence because when they released an early version, a community started to form around it. And that was good for the user side.
So what do you think is the secret to your success? Because from having this passionate idea, almost like utopian, you actually made it. It's happening. So why did it happen?
And it's countless hours of trying different things. And the ideas may be cool, but you have to have a product market fit, and of course you need to have the execution of the idea. A prototype is not enough.
Is there any conflict between generating interest of investors and the actual users of Decentraland, or is it pretty?
No. I mean, traditionally, investors were just a set of people that were investment professionals. But when we did the fundraising, we fundraised from the crowd. And people have just common sense. Is this something that I would use? Is this something that I think people would use? And does your business model make sense? So I think they're pretty much aligned for this kind of projects. We raised 26 million.
26 million?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
at the rate, yeah.
And how was that experience?
It sucked. I mean, we did that in 70 days. We rushed a lot. We wanted to get over with it. It all happened in a rush. I think we could only do it because we leveraged this really good community that we're part of called Voltaire. We were able to go from a team of 2 to a team of 15 people, both from Voltaire and from outside of Voltaire in no time. But the experience itself, it was super cumbersome. We had to travel a lot. I had to pitch. When I started pitching, I was not successful at all. It took me a lot of tries to get people engaged. We went to several countries within a couple of months. Lived in hotels, ate badly. I would never want to do that again, honestly.
So that was the time when you were working 15 hours per day?
For the first month, I think we were in San Francisco. He was sleeping on my couch. Yeah, we're not doing much else other than working, having endless calls, one after another.
So were you relieved after you raised the money then, and then you had it and you didn't have to sleep on each other's couches and stuff anymore?
Almost up until the last week, I thought it could have been a complete failure. And then we realized that there were 3 times as much money trying to get into the smart contract as the cap that we had established.
How did that happen?
So when we did the fundraising, we set a cap of how much money could come in. So the maximum that we would raise. And we did a bit of a private sale and sold a bunch more through brokers, or called ICO platforms. And by the time of the actual public sale, however, I don't know, 10 millions that were left, they filled up within 30 seconds. People were very angry because a lot of people were left out.
And a new record was just set for selling some real estate. What was that record?
Pardon me?
Last week someone sold some land for a new record price.
Oh, yeah. So the world is comprised of parcels of land. These are 10 by 10 meter spaces, and there are currently about 70,000 of them. So each of these are owned by different users. None of them are owned by the company. There was one parcel of land that was sold for 2,000 mana. Mana is the currency native to Decentraland. And right now that's about $170,000 for one parcel.
And why was that parcel so valuable?
So all the parcels are the same among themselves. The one variable that is different among them is location. So we have determined that the spawning point, meaning where the users are initially going to appear when they enter the platform, is going to be in the very center, in a plaza that is owned by nobody. It's called Genesis Plaza, and that parcel was right next to the plaza. So they are paying more, anticipating that they're going to have higher foot traffic.
So people, I think, compare it to Second Life. Would you agree? Is the closest other application, or would you say you were inspired, or is it actually, in fact, in real life, closer to something else already existing?
I guess that we were both inspired by the same books and the same novels. We often hear that every generation goes and tries to build the metaverse by Neil Stephenson. I think that ours is one attempt at making that metaverse free and open for everybody. Some place where we can't kick out people out of it, and where we are not the gods or anything.
So could you say what books and novels you were inspired about? What inspired you?
Well, mostly Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash, where a fantasy world where people spend half their life in a virtual world that they access through VR headsets. It's a very it was very creative at the moment because it was written in 1992, and people, this metaverse influenced their lives, and their lives influenced back the metaverse. So it was kind of like the world of ideas and the material world.
Do you have any comments on the general kind of crypto anarchy movement and using blockchain for political reasons?
Within Decentraland, there's a fertile ground to try all of these things out. How does this kind of mechanism work? Whether we can do voting inside of a blockchain, whether distributing files can be a profitable operation to be decentralized, like everybody having an extra hard drive can all of a sudden earn some bucks out of it. I think it's definitely going to help a lot of the decentralization movements. I think that we as humans, with all the symbolisms that we create, we get intermediated by all of our thoughts and reasoning, our branding, and a lot of things. Decentralization is the way. The goal is reducing the amount of trusted third parties in the middle. And I think that it's, in some sense, going back to basics and reasoning. So I think that Decentraland in particular, it's a good experiment for how will that start to roll out in the next few years.
So in some ways you think it could be seen as a testing field for certain ideas that could be actually applicable in the real society, in the real life?
Yeah, One example is DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. We are working with another project who is creating the tools to launch and manage these DAOs. They're targeting like corporations, but it's a problem to launch a corporation as a DAO because a corporation still has to be to have base in some jurisdiction of the in a nation, right? But for instance, when we did the land distribution, we gave users the opportunity to launch proposals and have people contribute to their proposals. So over 50 what we call districts were formed. Districts are like collectives of users pulling funds or land together to do some different types of initiatives. It could be a university, it could be a place where people like get together to build under a certain aesthetic. So these are fully virtual entities, and it's a really good early case for managing these DAOs because they don't have the limitation of having to exist in a jurisdiction as a regular company does. Although some of these are going to operate as businesses, and some of those are actually registering as traditional businesses offline.
How have you found the Ethereum network has been working for you? Were you affected by things like CryptoKitties?
So our auction was at the same time as the whole CryptoKitties craze, but we kind of like planned ahead of time for this, and we developed an off-chain solution that was very well suited for our auction particularly. It's an off-chain mechanism which is still cryptographically secure, and then at the end of the auction all the lands were distributed. So it's working just fine for us at the moment, the Ethereum blockchain, with some smart movements around this.
Do you think, how do you feel about the future of Ethereum versus other competitors?
I'm pretty confident that the Ethereum ecosystem has attracted the right kind of developers. I think that there's a lot of maturity in the tools, way more than what is possible in Bitcoin, for example. But at the same time, Ethereum has to learn a lot about some stuff that Bitcoin got really, really right, which is its scalability properties and its security.
And do you have any experience with Solidity?
Yeah. I wrote the land contract and some other smart contracts on top of it.
Okay. And what are your feelings on Solidity?
It's risky to build. It's always like every line of code that you write, you can have like 5 or 6 different errors, and you're feeling like, I wish this could be better tested by the language. Like, I come from a functional programming kind of background, and I wish Solidity was more functional.
When is the actual launch?
Like, we don't have a date yet. Hopefully we're releasing the first set of tools, like the software development kit, with which all the content creators are going to be able to start building content and publishing it on their land. So then we're going to do a gradual release, first with a private group of users where they're going to be able to access the world. And there's probably going to be like a few months of bug fixing, ensuring that the performance is good.
You've raised some money. Do you need more in order to make Decentraland work as you want?
No.
As you've planned, do you need more investments? I mean,
No. No, I mean, for the time being, we are very comfortable financially, and we definitely can launch the platform even with a fraction of what we've raised.
how many users are you expecting?
Hundreds of thousands, millions.
Yeah.
Are there any upcoming events which you're excited about?
We are going to organize a blockchain gaming conference, most likely in Hong Kong at the end of July. You already see a lot of infrastructure being built around this. So the Ethereum wallets are supporting applications, some of which are games. Then there are exchanges so the exchanges for crypto usually were for fungible tokens or fungible coins, and now you see a new type of exchanges that are solely for non-fungible tokens, such as the land or the crypto kitties or other game items. In the type of games where you spend money on items, it makes a lot of sense to put them on the blockchain because people want to have true ownership of these items. And if you have the item in a centralized database that the company controls, if they go out of business or if they change their terms, you suddenly you're exposed to losing all of your property.
Are you able to say what other companies or products are going to take part in the Hong Kong? Is it like a conference?
Yeah, I mean, people from projects who have solutions for scalability. Those are very applicable to games because we saw what happened with CryptoKitties. Like, games have the potential of bringing potentially millions of users together, which is something that the main chain, the Ethereum main chain, is not prepared for. The projects that create games on the blockchain really need like a second layer scalability solution. So there are some like Cosmos or Proof of Authority that we are looking at and that we would be interested in them coming, but we haven't talked to them yet. Games based on collectibles or trading card games on the blockchain, those are like just emerging from the beginning of this year. So like last year when we launched Decentraland, there were none of these games. But it's a space that's picking up pretty fast.
You should have Angry Birds too.
Yeah, but I don't know if it like really makes a difference to have them on the blockchain. Yeah, it does make sense to have games on the blockchain when they revolve around collectible items that have actual value and that people may want to like transfer to others or gift or trade.
It would be awesome if Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering would be amazing.
I was thinking the birds could stay on a plaza.
Okay, we can do that then.
It's like just some action, you know,
Sure.
Independent. Like nobody can actually control them.
Okay, I'll arrange it.
Yeah, I think that putting Pokemon or a monster version of it or whatever is going to make it addictive, actually.
The value that you get by putting a blockchain there is that you have provable scarcity. Like in Magic the Gathering, you knew that there was a certain that some cards were in shorter supply than others, and that's why they were rare. But there was no actual way to verify that that was the case because there was a company behind that could print as many of those cards as they wanted. Maybe they didn't do it, but there was no verifiable way for users to say they are actually not printing more of these cards.
Hey, if I say that I'm going to build a hospital, which is going to for free to treat all the people who get addicted to games, are you going to give me free land in Decentraland?
We can arrange
There's
something.
actually a project that is already doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
A hospital? What the
No,
hell?
but a center for mental health.
So we create the problem and the solution.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
You guys have got one of the most successful ICOs around, but also one of the most modest workspaces. So what made you decide to do that?
We are not a huge team yet. It's growing very fast. Like we went from 2 to 25 within a few months. And the kind of people that are working in this project are really like they get very passionate about it, and we want to have a space where people can just chill and like do some creative thinking. Yeah, a place where they can relax and work and be comfortable. And everyone in our team, I think, is super happy about the way things go. Like we all have lunch together every day at 1 p.m.
And so in 10 years' time, are we going to find you here?
Probably not. Probably in a few months I'm going to be out.
And then when it comes to, you said you're not too keen on the interviews and like, you know, being the face of the company. So imagine if Decentraland gets as successful as you wish to, like who's going to be Mark Zuckerberg of your thing?
The way we are building it's exactly with the opposite goal. Like it's not going to be about the founders in a few years' times. So something we have not mentioned, like the infrastructure on which Decentraland works, we intend for it to be distributed. So it's not going to be like we're going to be providing all the hosting, all the storage, all the GPU power, but actually relying on open networks where anyone can provide their GPU or their hosting or their computing power. We have goals to decentralize the governance. So at some point in time, like I mean, the technology is not there yet to do this, but all the important decisions, such as like whether there's more land created in a certain year, like we wouldn't be comfortable making those decisions unilaterally, and so we want ourselves and our personality to not be that important. Sometimes people come to us to say like, hey, can I do this? And I'm like, yeah, you definitely can, but maybe you should talk to like the people who have the land, not to us. Like we want this to be a very permissionless environment where we have as little of an input as possible, other than creating the tools that give free ride to people's imagination. I have a lot of fun working on this. I don't know like if I can keep up with this space indefinitely, because it requires like my absolute, like all of my time. I don't know if I could have a family and a relationship while having
No, definitely.
yeah, maybe I will have to learn like how to like be more productive in like and to time box my time, but yeah.
Yeah, but well, organization's goal is to bootstrap this virtual world and to leave it running and cease to exist in some sense. So
Yeah, we want to stop being important for Decentraland as a project.
So for the moment, like you've got a dog, and the dog is like your family.
Yeah, pretty much. And I don't see anyone else.
Okay, cool. I think we're done. What a good interview.
Well, thanks, guys.